beverages, hot dogs, snacks, and other temptations down at the concession area. We do ask that you keep 1 foot on the deck at all times, meaning, of course, no standing up or sitting on the backs of the seats. That's for your safety, of course. And there's no smoking allowed anywhere on board. That said, let's begin our trip today out on the Hudson River, named for Henry Hudson, a British explorer who was actually working for the Dutch in 1609 when he first navigated this body of water, setting sail aboard a vessel called Melody. Well, it doesn't hit the ball for you, it's not that automatic, but once you do that, the next ball comes automatically up to your toe level so you can golf just as quickly as you like. Quickly being the way New Yorkers like to do, well, everything. You've noticed. Next, we pass by what used to be the heart of the passenger ship industry here in New York City in the early part of the 20th century. Now, most of these piers, as you see, are in a state of decay, but one of them has had some work done to it. Just ahead on the port side, you'll see Pier 54. You can identify it because it has a new cement perimeter around the outside. But look on the street side, and you can make out the rusted archway and facade, which is original to Pier 54, and actually stood on this pier on that fateful day would go to get away from the city when the city was located way down below Canal Street. The word Greenwich actually means Green Village. But by 1870, the village became known by another name, the New Bohemia, and ever since it's been a magnet for creative people, writers, artists, and freethinkers of every stripe. Some famous writers who've called the village home include Walt Whitman, Mark Twain, and Edgar Allan Poe. Completion of the Sears Tower in Chicago, Illinois. Looking down the river on the port side, you'll see a collection of modern buildings grouped together, each with the World Financial Center, inside the headquarters of American Express, Merrill Lynch, Lehman Brothers, Dow Jones, and the Wall Street Journal. Geographically, these buildings lie structure, and across the street to the north you'll see a brick and glass building with vertical columns of windows. 1 block from Ground Zero, this is Stuyvesant High School, a magnet school for gifted students in mathematics and sciences, reopened as of October 8th amid controversy about the quality of the air in this part of Manhattan, which is tainted by the subterranean fires which continue to smolder deep beneath what the workers have termed the pile. On the first tour, we smelled it very strongly. The wind must have shifted, but you may actually detect some of the odor as we cross by. Look between the high school and the American Express Tower. You'll get your first glimpse onto the site. And what you'll see first is not the Twin Towers themselves, but actually the building to the north of Tower Number 1, the partially collapsed U.S. Customs House. Tower Number 1 was the first tower to be attacked from the north, but the second to collapse, as literally the entire north wall of the structure came loose and came cascading down on top of the Customs House, and in fact, crushing it. This wall, composed of spandrel beams which girdled both towers, supported them from the exterior. So now you can see the Customs House. Once it was missing, it initiated what was termed a progressive collapse of the entire structure. Next, what you're going to see, just beyond the tent-like structure with the points, is a glass building that looks like a jukebox from the 1940s, this Wurlitzer jukebox of a building. Look just above it and to the left now, and you'll see all that remains of the western wall of Tower Number 1. These spandrel beams made of reinforced steel coated with a thin layer of aluminum, which once gave the towers their sheen. Again to the right where you see the two enormous red cranes working in tandem. This marks the spot where once stood tower number 2. The park you can see just beyond the pier with the clock tower. That's Pier A, the oldest on the island of Manhattan. Look just beyond the clock tower, above the trees of Battery Park, you'll see an old-fashioned ornate structure with little green windows on the top floor. Also designed by Cass Gilbert, this form can add up, especially if you're traveling in a pack with lots of kids. You can get there by taking the 4 or 5 train downtown to the Bowling Green stop. Among the trees of Battery Park, you can now see there's a circular fort with a flag on top, Castle Clinton. Originally erected 100 yards off the shoreline, this fortification was meant to protect the island originally against an attack from the south, something that never happened until last September. So ironically, Castle Clinton was converted into a welcoming center for new Americans in the early 19th century, and it was this facility which was eventually replaced in 1892 with Ellis Island, which I'll give you a closer look at a little later in our trip. Now watch the skyline just above the stern of that vessel, the Circle Line vessel, just to the left of the Museum of the American Indian. You're going to see the sky reach down, and you'll be looking up a canyon right now. This is Lower Broadway, known as the Canyon of Heroes, where Charles Lindbergh, the Apollo astronauts, for the last 3 years, the New York Yankees, not this time, all paraded proudly up the Canyon of Heroes under the shower of confetti known as the ticker tape parade. This enormous vessel you see parking in the pale green terminal building is the Staten Island Ferry. You may remember it from the movie Working Girl with Melanie Griffith. Look just to the left of the terminal building and you'll see a flag